Now, though, a famed American photographer welcomes the Russian public deep inside his dollhouse, and that's actually the name of the exhibition that's going to be held.
Yeah, his name is Bart Dorsa. He works with metal and glass plates using photographic techniques that were developed 170 years ago. Our correspondent Peter Oliver went along to the Zurab Gallery to find out what inspires this artist. Well, here he is. Peter, very good evening to you.
Your name?
Certainly seems...
Hello, Neil, how are you doing?
Yeah, we've got your Bart Dorsa. This is who we're talking about, isn't it? Very interesting technique. I saw a bit of his work. Tell us a bit more about what seems to be a rather unusual style.
Well, it is a very unusual style. The technique he uses is called wet plate. It comes back in the 1840s. It's a technique that's really not used in photography very much these days. And to find out more about that, I'm joined by the man himself right now. Bart, thanks very much for speaking to us. Why did you choose to resurrect such an old form of photography?
I had been shooting before. I shot on film and on digital for some time. I was a filmmaker, so I had the visual sort of thing happening. And I was surfing the net and saw some pictures of Abraham Lincoln's would-be assassins or had suspected assassins. And this picture struck me and I found out what the process was.
Now, we were discussing early on how the exhibition you have is really in two parts. It takes a journey. What are you trying to convey in these photographs that you've taken?
I'm trying... Well, it started out, the show started out as... I was trying to shoot, the concept was to shoot marionettes and shoot dolls. And in the middle of that process, maybe right in a couple of weeks after I started, I had some very painful things happen in my life. And I realized I didn't want to shoot what was on the outside and shoot what I wanted to shoot. I wanted to shoot what was in the back of my head. So I sat there in my studio, and it's a very repetitive process. And every day I again and again shot until I started getting some images on my plates that were not of the girls that were in front of me, but were from the back of my head.
Now, the name of the exhibition is Deep Inside My Dollhouse. Where does that come from?
That comes from about 25 years ago. One of my ex-girlfriends and her friends had a show in San Francisco titled Deep Inside My Dollhouse. And I had been thinking about it for 25 years. And I thought, well, when I started looking at what I was doing, I thought it was time to resurrect that.
Now, you said something interesting just before we went to air about how you weren't wanting to recreate exactly the style of these 1840s.
Absolutely not.
That you wanted to, what were your words? You wanted to not take a picture of a person, but to put a picture onto a person. What does that really mean?
You know, the process that I'm using can be very painterly, and what I'm trying to do is not shoot. I shoot very beautiful Russian girls or Russian models or girls from the street that are sitting in front of my camera. And you take a picture like that, you're shooting like a L'Oreal poster. That's not art. That's not a creative thing for me. I'm trying to use the process, which is very hands-on, that allows for a lot of interpretation. So I'm trying to project onto them and not, like I said, not take a picture of them, but to put a photograph on them.
But thank you very much for joining us. Deep Inside My Dollhouse runs here at the Museum of Modern Art in Moscow until the end of November. I certainly recommend that you definitely go and check it out.
Yeah, thanks very much, Peter. Some very interesting pictures there. That's our correspondent, Peter Oliver, bringing us an insight into the techniques of the American photographer Bart Dorsa.